And welcome students, as we get to talk about another type of constructor. We previously talked about the super constructor. Today we get to discuss the this constructor. So when defining constructor, it is sometimes convenient to be able to call one of the other constructors in the same class. You can use the keyword this as a method name to invoke a constructor in the same class. The use of this is similar to the use of super, but with this, the call is to a constructor of the same class, not to a constructor of the base class. Remember when we talked about super, we were calling constructor of the base class. So, for example, consider the following alternate and equivalent definition of a no-R constructor for the class hourly employee. Public hourly employee, this, no name, new date, January 1, 1000, 00. The line with this invocation is a constructor with the following heading. Public employee, string the name, date the date, double the wage rate, double the hours. The restrictions on how you can use the base class constructor called super also apply to the this constructor. You cannot use an instance variable as an argument to this, and any call to the constructor this must also be the first action taken in constructor definition. Recall when we talked about super, we said that it also has to be the first in the constructor definition. Thus, a constructor definition cannot contain both an invocation of super and an invocation of this. If you want to include both a call to super and a call to this, use a call with this and have the constructor that is called with this have super as its first action. Alright, a quick tip for you. An object of a derived class is more than one type. So, an object of the derived class has the type of the derived class. It also has the type of the base class, and more generally, it has the type of every one of its ancestor classes. So, for example, when we looked at hourly employee, remember that is a derived class of employee, so it is both of the type hourly employee and of the type employee. So, if we look at the following constructor definition from the class hourly employee, public hourly employee, original object, super original object, wage rate equals original object dot wage rate, hours equals original object dot hours. The line super original object is an invocation of a constructor for the base class employee. The class employee has no constructor with a parameter of type hourly employee, but original object is of type hourly employee. Fortunately, every object of type hourly employee is also of type employee. So this invocation of super is an invocation of the copying constructor for the class employee. And lastly, let's talk about the is-a relationship. The fact that every object is not only its own type, but is also type of its ancestor classes simply reflects how things function in the real world. So, for example, an hourly employee is also an employee as well as an hourly employee, because if you're hourly, well, you get paid hourly versus salary. And if you're an hourly employee, you also have to therefore be an employee of the business. So this is sometimes referred to as a is-a relationship. So, for example, an hourly employee is an employee. Is a demo contains a program demonstrating the hourly employee and a salaried employee are also employee objects. The method show employee requires an argument of type employee, and the objects Joe and Sam are of type employee because they're instances of classes derived from the class employee, and so are suitable arguments for show employee. Let me just pop over to Eclipse real quick here. Oh, that's not Eclipse. There we go. And right here is the is a demo. And so you can see we have a salaried employee, Joe. We have hourly employee, Sam. And, of course, we set their parameters here. So we're declaring them with the name, the date object, and, of course, the values. In this case, the salary, and this is the hourly rate and how many hours. So it would just out printing the Joe's longer name, Joe.getName, show employee, Joe invoked, show employee to Joe, and then this one's show employee, Sam. And down here, you have employee object. So you have the get name and get hire date methods. So if we run this, it creates a type hierarchy. Boom. Alright. Joe's longer name is Josephine. Show employee Joe invoked Josephine, January 1st, 2015. Show employee Sam invoked Sam, February 1st, 2015. Alright, quick bit follow-up note for you, the terms subclass and superclass. Many programmers and authors will often use the term subclass for a derived class and superclass for its base class, or any one of the ancestor classes. For example, the collection of all hourly employees in the world is a subclass of all employees. Similarly, the collection of all objects in the type hourly employee is a subcollection of the collection of all objects of the class employee. Now, as you add more instance variables and methods, you restrict the number of objects that can satisfy the class definition. Now, despite this logic, people often reverse the terms subclass and superclass because they start thinking, well, if it goes down, subclass would mean going down, super goes up. But remember that these terms refer to the collections of objects in the derived class and the base class, and not to the number of instance variables or methods. Right? It's just the objects themselves that are being referred to. So a derived class is a subclass, not a superclass, because you're not going up, you're going down as you make more classes. Think about, like I said earlier, it's kind of like a family tree. You start with, your ancestor, and then it spreads out. Right? So the ancestors are the superclasses because you up the family tree. If you want to think about it that way, rather than spreading out, it's starting at the top, spreading down, rather than starting at the ground and working its way up. Another way to remember which is a superclass is to remember that the superclass invocation is an invocation of the base class, and so the base class is the superclass. And that's going to wrap it up for today, folks. So until next time.